videographers. Before I could do a live broadcast, I needed one more piece of kit. This is the Blackmagic Design ATEM Mini. It's an extraordinarily powerful device at a very reasonable price. It selects the video and audio signals for broadcast and encodes the signal to stream to YouTube. Up to 4 cameras can be connected to the HDMI ports. The Mini can switch from one to another using the big white buttons. Audio from the cameras can also be switched, and 2 more mics can be added directly to the device. Now, the ATEM Mini outputs an HDMI signal. I've connected it to an Atomos Ninja as a monitor, which can also record the signal. And there's a USB output connected to my computer, which identifies it as a webcam. That works with any video application on my Macs, from FaceTime to live broadcasting on YouTube. Now, I've been producing, directing, and switching live multi-camera video since I was a teenager, and during my first career as a technician, I used many switchers in studios from community cable to pro broadcast. And in the pre-digital days, switchers were primitive and expensive, tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Inexpensive switchers were very basic in their capabilities. And in 2020, it's come down to this sophisticated and very powerful little bargain. If you have any experience using a switcher, you'll be absolutely astounded. Even if you don't, at this price, it's a really interesting and fun tech device with lots to offer and explore. Now, any device that outputs HDMI can be connected. A switcher refers to those as inputs or sources. Now, I tested sources from HD 1080 at 24 frames to 4K at 30 frames, which are all accepted by the Mini. That means cameras, computers, game consoles are all possible sources. And devices with different output resolutions and frame rates are all conformed to a common output. The Mini uses the first source you connect as its reference for output. If you want HD 1080 30, connect that first. I'm going to demonstrate with this dual screen. At the bottom, you'll see the Mini, and the window above this window shows the output as recorded from the Ninja. Now, just to be clear, this composite image is created in editing, not in the Mini. Although I'm pretty certain that it could be, I'm not yet at that level of expertise. And then this video has been edited with some effects and transitions added in Final Cut. It wasn't recorded live, although most of the elements were recorded through the Mini. I hope that's not confusing. This wide shot is camera 1. This scene with the Mountie is camera 2. Press the corresponding key to send that source to the output. The currently selected input illuminates in red. Camera 1 here is outputting 4K 30. Camera 2 HD 1080 60. Switching is seamless. When the cut key is illuminated, the Mini switches directly. When the auto key is illuminated, a transition is used. There are 4 keys to select the duration of the transition, from 2 seconds to 1/2, and there are 6 transition types in the effect section of the panel. Mix dissolves directly from one image to the next. Dip dissolves to the next image through white. Select the time, 1.5 seconds, and the transition, mix, and when the key for the new source is pressed, the transition happens. There are 4 wipe transitions. A soft border wipe from left to right, and a top to bottom version of the same. The third transition is a push wipe from left to right. The fourth is a squeeze. But these last two do not work as flawlessly as the others. The rightmost big white key, labeled FTB, fades or dissolves to black. It helpfully flashes red when the output is black. In addition to the HDMI sources, there are two internal sources, black and still. Still displays an image saved in the desktop apps media store. I'll get to that in a minute. The 6 smaller black keys above the 4 HDMI sources control audio. The sound from any input can be on or off. The arrows adjust the volume. Reset returns the volume to the default. Now I'm monitoring audio levels with the display on the Ninja and with headphones. AFV stands for Audio Follow Video. When this is selected, the Mini switches both audio and video when a cut or transition is made. And then there are controls for the two 3.5mm mic ports, also with on, off, and level controls, but no reset key. Now the Mini can do picture-in-picture. A small version of input 1 can appear in one of the 4 corners. Let me switch to camera 2, select the corner, then pop it on and off. Now, even if you're not familiar with switchers, that leaves a lot of questions, like how do I get a still into the Mini, or can any of these effects and transitions be customized? Can I wipe right to left? Can the size of the picture-in-picture be changed? Now, most of these capabilities, and many more, are addressed using the Atom software control. This is a desktop application, a free download available for both OS X and Windows. This review, created in July 2020, uses version 8.2.3. This app adds an extensive feature set to the Mini. It's complex and powerful with a fairly steep learning curve, and although you'll need some creativity along with a great deal of experimentation, there's little that it cannot do. Let me show you the basics: how to add stills, set up a key for lower thirds, and modify and automate some of the effects. Mostly things that take full advantage of the Mini's control panel. By default, video standard is set by the first camera, but that can be configured in settings. By default, the dip transition is white. Use the palette tab to select a different color, like red, or scroll down to transitions, and on the dip tab, the color source can be changed from the default color 1, which we just changed to red, to black, or even another source. Let's add some images. On the bottom of the screen, select the Media tab, and then drag and drop the files into slots. Up to 20 still images can be stored. I have a standby slide to use before a broadcast, another for the end, and lower third keys for my name and copyright. Once these are in place, the still key is used to select it as a source using either cut or the transitions. Back on the switcher panel, the right side media player can change stills, but I haven't yet figured out how to use anything other than a cut. The media files are saved in the Mini, but only as long as it's connected to power. They're saved if you disconnect the computer, even if you change computers, but when power is disconnected, they are gone. And this is a good time to mention that there is no power switch on the Mini, nor is there any way to dim the key illumination, which has a flicker at about 50 Hz, if you're sensitive to that kind of thing. The media player is also the source for keys and lower third supers and credits. This still has white text over a black background. Scroll down the palette tab to the upstream keyer, select Luma, make the fill source and the key source the media player image, but note that a camera or other sources are also available. Select the Key 1 button on the virtual switcher. Then, on the Mini, select the transition. I've got 1 second, and mix, and press the current input key to dissolve the key in and out, or press a different input to either dissolve or cut to that source with the key, press the input key to lose it. The picture-in-picture settings are also part of the upstream key section, the DVE, Digital Video Effect tab. Now here, you can select the source for picture-in-picture, or PIP for short. That's me on camera 1. Set the size, as well as the position, and add a drop shadow and a border. Scroll down to keyframe and press Set A. Full now brings the PIP to full screen. A returns to the PIP. One day, we'll discuss upstream and downstream keys, as well as chroma key or green screen. There is one audio setting that will be useful for the two mic inputs. Let me switch off the camera audio and switch this shotgun, which is connected to mic 1 input. Now, the audio arrives in real time while the video is a few frames delayed by the time the camera's processed it. Even if it's only a few frames, it's usually obvious. Now, in the app, the mic inputs have a setting here to enter the offset. If you make a recording with a clap or a clapper, you can measure the offset using your editor. Then enter the frame offset you need here. For this camera, that's 7 frames. So now we're back in sync. Now, as is obvious from this screen, the audio control is also extensive in its capability. The final bottom tab is Camera. That's available only when Blackmagic cameras are used. Don't expect everything to work flawlessly. I had an issue with longer cables, and although most cameras connected with a 5-meter HDMI cable without problems, one would not. Now, I checked by plugging the camera directly into the Ninja, which had no issues, and a shorter cable with the same camera worked fine. So the problem seems to be with the Mini. The documentation, which is well designed and well written, jumps wildly from pre-beginner to expert mode. For example, on page 10, there's an introductory explanation and then a detailed step-by-step on switching from input 1 to 2. And then a few pages later, on page 13, using the upstream keyer provides a high-level overview, but no indication at all of how it works or how to use it. The PDF manual for the Mini is also spiced with sidebars, callouts, and entire chapters devoted to explaining why you should have purchased the Mini Pro instead. As I said in the intro, it is a fun device to use. There's lots to learn, explore, and experiment. It certainly provides considerably more functionality than I expected at the price. I'm enjoying playing with this piece of kit. And there's more than I've covered in this video. Let me know if you'd like me to produce some more videos about the Mini and which aspects you'd like to see demonstrated. As always, please keep your questions relevant and your comments civil. I do read and reply. And then finally, if you'd like to join my select group of subscribers, you only need to click. No hats to wear, no rallies to attend. I'll keep a safe distance. Thanks for watching.